myself being real with God. And throughout that, the message I got to work on, I discovered the secret recipe to real relationships. The real relationships. And the best thing about it is that the recipe is simple. It's only 3 little ingredients. And I know for me, I'm the one that does most of the cooking in our house. Katie's not she doesn't cook, okay? That's not her thing. I do the cooking. She can order the takeout, but I do the cooking. I don't know about you, but I love something that's good and simple and easy to put together. So I'm hoping that this will be good for you today and that you can take it and use it to have some real, genuine relationships in your life. Another thing you should know about me is this. I am a huge sports fan. I have always been, always loved it, love football, baseball, all of it in between. I am a big, big fan. And I remember back in 2012 in college football, there was a player that was well known all over the nation, and his name was Manti Te'o. Now, if you know anything about Manti Te'o, if you were to Google his name today, his football career might not be the first thing at the top of the search results. Well, Manti was a linebacker for the University of Notre Dame. He was an amazing football player. His last year in 2012, he walked away with 8 different national awards. He was up for the Heisman Trophy, which is awarded to the best player in college football every single season. And he was a guy, okay? Their team went 12-0. They were undefeated, never lost till they got to the national championship. Bama beat them up a little bit, but that happens, Nick Saban does his thing. But Manti was a great, great football player. And I remember near the end of his football season, that year, I got an alert on my phone, ESPN alert, and it said that Manti Te'o's girlfriend had passed away. She had battled leukemia, and she died. And it was like, oh, tragic, right? This guy, at the end of his college career, you know how it usually goes for these guys. Their girlfriend in college, they get married, they have a family, go into his college career, the dream come true, right? But the story took a turn a few months later when it came out that Manti Te'o's girlfriend did not exist. She was not real, and Manti Te'o had fallen victim to something called catfishing. And what catfishing is a Facebook thing where people would basically create fake accounts, act as if they were that person, and then they would just, live their life online as someone else. And what happened, Manti got into a relationship with this girl who ended up being a guy from his small town, had this relationship with her for over a year. They talked on the phone all the time. This man was able to change his voice to sound like a lady, and they would be in this relationship. It was real. Like he would look to her for help and guidance and encouragement, and the story was wild. This guy he created more than just this one account as the girl. He created accounts as family members, as cousins, aunts, uncles, communicated with Manti from all these different angles, right? He met Manti in person as the cousin of his girlfriend, and all these stories were insane. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem with this whole thing was that the girlfriend was not real. And this morning, I want to talk to you about being real in your own relationships. I know that is like off the wall, crazy. I don't think any of y'all are faking to the point of being another person. But are there areas in your own relationships where you are not real and genuine? This morning, I want to ask you these questions. When it comes to your relationships, do you take interest in the other people, in the other half, like what they care about? Or is it all about you? Are all your relationships all about yourself? When it comes to the people who get to know you, do they get to actually know the real you? Do you open yourself up, or do you just kind of cater what people see? Do you wear a mask to cover up the ugly areas you don't want anyone to know about? Or are you unreliable? Do you not show up for your friends, for those that you're close with? Or can you not be counted on? Well, today I want to share with you the secret recipe. The 3 simple ingredients. Tonight, or this morning, it's not nighttime, morning. The first ingredient is love. We have to show love in our relationships. John 13:34 tells us this. It says, Jesus is Jesus speaking, big deal, red letters. So now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Here's the thing about Jesus. Jesus is a relationship guy. He was all about relationships, getting to know, being in communion together, and showing love was the doorway to relationship. It was the way to build that bridge, to show you that, hey, I care about you. I'm here for you, I am real, I want to know you, and I want to be in relationship with you. And my favorite things about the Easter story is after the crucifixion, all the little details in there are so interesting to me. But the one that has always caught my attention, has always stuck with me, is the part where it talks about the veil tearing after Jesus died. Because the veil was what separated the the temple from the presence of God. It's where only the priests could go in the inner temple to be in the presence of God. Only certain people could go there. Priests in their special garb, through all the rituals, and then they could enter into the presence. And if you went in there without going through the right process, or you were the wrong person, then you would die. Aaron's sons died because they were messing around the presence of God. So it was serious stuff. But after Jesus died on the cross, it says that the veil tore. And what that signified was now the relationship with Jesus, you had direct access to God. Instead of having to go through the process, go through all the little rituals, we had direct access to a relationship with God. Because God wants to be in a relationship with each of us. But for us to first practice love, we have to know what love is. And 1 Corinthians 13 tells us this, that love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love does not boast, love is not proud, love does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. So there is a lot to love. Love is, I told these few students tonight, love is more than a feeling, you guys. It is more than just something, feeling, about, your girlfriend, boyfriend. It is more than that. There is more to it. Love is something that we put into action, that we put into practice. So this one, I want to give you 3 real quick, easy things you can do to demonstrate, to practice love to other people. Number 1 is this, you can practice the golden rule. The golden rule is biblical. It says this in Matthew 7, it says, do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. So if you want people to be patient with you, you got to be patient with other people. If you want people to be kind to you, you got to show kindness to other people. If you want people to stop getting angry with you, you got to stop getting angry at other people, okay? Practice what you want people to do to you, and that they'll return. That's number 1. Number 2, you can serve others through service. Now, Jesus was the ultimate servant. Jesus always said that, the greatest among you is your servant. Now, there's tons of things that Jesus did. He would heal the sick. He fed thousands. He stopped and he met that sick woman on the road. He spent time with those nobody else cared to spend time with, right? Jesus served the people he loved. He showed love through service. And one of the most beautiful moments is captured in the story of the Last Supper, where Jesus, after they've eaten, had their time together, Jesus gets down on his knees and he washes the feet of his disciples. And I know some of the disciples say, no. This is insane. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. You are the Son of God. You are crazy. But they say, no. He wanted to set an example, to show through service, through love, that you are not above that you can love people through service, washing each one of their feet, even Judas. And the last thing is you need to forgive. This one's probably the hardest of the 3. That 1 Corinthians scripture tells us that love keeps no record of wrongs. To love, we have to forgive. We can't hold on to things that are hurting us. We can't hold on to those pains. We have to be willing to let them go. And I know this can take time. Certain things have happened that just seem too much. Like, hey, they do not deserve it. They are not worthy of being forgiven. They've not seeked remorse for me. They have not apologized. But I am hurt, and they hurt me, and I am rightfully for being angry and being offended and being upset. But John Bevere said this quote, and when he said it, it hit me. John Bevere said this. He said, an offended Christian is a person that has forgotten what they've been forgiven of. When Jesus died on the cross, he paid the price for every wrong thing, every sin that we've ever committed. And he's called us to go on and to learn how to get to a place where you can forgive others of anything they have done to you. Because if Jesus was willing to do it for us, we have to be willing to give grace and forgiveness to others. And the thing about about holding on to unforgiveness, it's not good for you. It's poisonous. When you're upset with someone, all you're doing is hurting yourself. They might not even know that you are angry, you are fed up, you are fuming. But that doesn't bother them. It's not hurting them. All it's doing is hurting you. And that's why God has called us to forgive. And for us to love, we have to be willing to let go and keep no record of wrongs. So ingredient number 1 is love. And love is the foundation that all real relationships can be built on. Because to get to step 2 and 3, the ingredients 2 and 3, you have to start with that foundation of love. The second ingredient in our recipe today is honesty. We got to practice honesty in our relationships. 1 Corinthians 1:10 tells us, it says, I appeal to you, dear brothers and sisters, by the authority of our Lord Jesus Christ, to live in harmony with each other. Let there be no divisions among you, rather be of one mind, united in thought and purpose. The writer of Ephesians keeps it simple, and I love it. He says this, he says, so stop telling lies, okay? Stop. Let us tell our neighbors the truth. We are all part of the same body. Now, God has called us all to live in unity with one another. And that might seem crazy and hard in the times we live in today, but that is what God has called us to do. But for there to be unity, there must first be honesty. What honesty leads to is honesty, genuine honesty will lead to trust. And now trust takes time, right? Trust is not earned overnight. I heard it said that trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. It takes time to earn it up, and it's easy to lose. And when it comes to it, you have to be careful who you're honest with, right? Because if you end up opening yourself up to people who are not worthy of your honesty, that are not trustworthy, you won't end up with unity. You'll end up with hurt. You'll end up with pain. You'll end up with a mess. And that's why the love starts with it first. If you don't know for sure the people you are in a relationship, they don't know that you love them, and you don't know that they love you, how can you begin to be honest? How can you trust them? How can you know that they're going to be patient with you? They're not going to keep any record of wrong. They're going to be kind. They're not going to be self-serving. They're not going to be looking for a way to use that against you. So love is the foundation, but honesty is the part of the recipe that brings the relationship closer together. If love is the foundation, honesty is what brings you into unity, into closeness. And I know for me, I have been married for maybe 4 years in January, so not very long, still learning. But for me and Katie, it honestly took time. Trust took time. It took time. When we first got together, I couldn't open myself up like a book and let her know all my deepest, darkest things, right? That would have been unwise of me, because at that point, Katie had not shown me that she was somebody I could trust. And for me on the other side, I hadn't proven to her that I was someone trustworthy either. But over time, as we got to know each other, as we showed that we cared for one another, and that we were somebody who could be trusted, and that was there for my best interest, and I was there for her best interest, we were able to open up. We were able to show each other and share with each other things and be honest and truthful. And now, at this point in the day, Katie's the person I'm closest to the most. And I'm hoping the closest person to her. But that takes time. You have to be careful, because if it's the wrong person, you can be hurt. I know for me, I remember back when I was in my early 20s, I worked for Pizza Hut. And I worked there for a long time. I was a manager there, and I kind of switched around between stores time to time. And I was working for one location for a while. We had brought this new GM in, and he was a guy. He could talk to anybody, make friends with anyone. He was one of those guys. I'm not one of them. I can't talk circles like that, but he could. And he seemed like a good guy, somebody I could trust and be honest with, and really rely on. And I remember I was kind of upset where I was at the time. I remember there was an opportunity to get promoted. I didn't get it, and so I got kind of hurt in my own ways. And I wasn't honest with our area guy and let him know that, hey, it really bugged me that, I was up for that. I did the work, and you guys didn't, pull me up. You guys didn't promote me. You guys didn't give me the opportunity. And I remember talking to my GM, letting me know about it, and he just kind of shrugged it off, I understand. I'd be upset too, kind of feeding into it. So I decided, I was like, okay, forget this. I'm going to try something new. And I went and got a job at Papa John's. Okay, I was jumping around the pizza business, and I remember I got a job there because they told one of the people I used to work with let me know, hey, you get in here now. There's an opportunity for a GM position in Englewood, where you live. This is a great opportunity. I remember I worked at her store for one day in Venice, and then the next day I went down to Englewood and I got there. And the truth was, the job wasn't there. There was already a guy in place. So I remember I kind of got myself in a mess, because I put my notice into the one place. And I remember I went back, and this old GM, the guy who I thought I could trust, let me know. He said, hey, the area guy's kind of upset with you. He's mad. He's mad. He heard you went to the competitor. You crossed town, you crossed those lines. He's not happy. So I was freaking out. I was nervous. But I didn't own up. I didn't call the guy. I didn't contact him. I didn't talk to him about it. I just trusted this guy, that his word was solid, that he was looking out for my best interest. And I decided, okay, and I found another opportunity. I went back to an old job, set it up. And I remember in my last week, the area manager came in, and I was nervous. And I sat down with him, and I'm talking to him. We're chatting. And he comes to realize that this guy never knew anything about me switching jobs, going to anywhere, and that this manager of mine had lied to me. He was looking out for his best interest, not mine. And because of the fact that I wasn't honest where I should have owned up to my mistakes or owned up to how I was feeling in the first place, I got myself in an entire mess because I trusted the wrong person. So when it comes to honesty, it takes the right person. You have to find the right person to be honest with, and the right person for you to be honest with. And this is something more than just, a spousal relationship. This is with our friends, our children. I mean, my son's only a year old. He'll be a year old Thursday. But as he gets older, we got to practice honesty on both sides. Honesty is a two-party commitment. It's on both sides, because love is something you can show to somebody, and if they don't show it back, you're still safe. You're doing what God's called you. You're showing love. But honesty, if you were just opening up like a book to someone that's not honest with you or not willing to do that with you, you're trying to draw in, and they're keeping the stiff arm out, saying, "Hey, keep a safe distance, okay?" So for a real relationship to develop, honesty has to happen on both sides. And the last ingredient today is consistency. Consistency. Hebrews 13:8 tells us this: Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now, here's the thing. You and I are going to change. I remember for me, middle school to high school, I went from 5'8" to 6'3", okay? We're going to literally change over time, right? Things are going to happen. But we can practice consistency to try to be the same in every relationship, to be there for our people, someone that can be counted on, somebody that's going to show up, that's not going to be wishy-washy, or let's make a date, I'm not showing up, calling out last minute, inconsistent. I remember in high school, I had a point where my inconsistency cost me something, okay? I remember my freshman year of high school, my favorite class was TV production, okay? It was my first hour of my freshman year. I loved this class. But my biggest issue with this class was it was my first period, and I was late almost every day. I think my final count at the end of my freshman year, I was tardy 81 times. I think it was only 160 days of school, so it was half the school year. And I loved this class. It was so much fun. We got to go out on campus and record videos during school hours. Like, come on, out of class, recording silly videos. I think we one time mocked up the Abbey Road thing. We did like a fake interview with the Beatles and found a walkway, stuff like that. It was fun. We had a good time. On the weekends, you have to do projects after hours. You go into the computer and we're editing the clips, cutting, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I think I had a knack for it. But at the end of the school year, when it was time for us to move on to TV2, to make our way to the vaunted WMTV at senior year, I was denied the opportunity to move forward. And it wasn't because I didn't love it, because obviously I did. Still think about it. It's so awesome. I missed it. And then the second is I had the talent. I always scored good grades in the class, but the thing was I was inconsistent. I couldn't be counted on, so I was not able to move on to the next level. And consistency in our relationship, what consistency does. So love is the foundation. Everything is built on that. Honesty is what brings you together with the person you're in a relationship with. And consistency is what gives your relationship durability, that it can last. Because you're not wishy-washy. You're not all over the place. You're someone that can be counted on. You're there. Even in your hard times, you can be honest. If you're struggling, you can be honest with the people in your relationship, and because of the love, there's patience. But you're consistent at the end of the day. For the most part, you are always there, and that gives your relationship durability. Because to say for me and Katie, if tomorrow I change, instead of being there to help her with the baby and doing work at my job and helping pay the bills, I started doing my own thing. I'm not showing up. I'm not coming home at night. I'm all over the place. That's not somebody you can't be counted on. That's crazy. That's crazy town. She wouldn't be coming after me. Everyone else in my family would be coming after me first. But consistency is so important. It gives your relationship the long haul, the longevity to last for a long time. And in closing, I want to just remind you, Jesus showed all these elements. He showed all these things in his relationship. Jesus loved. Jesus died on the cross. He served others. He forgave us for our sins. He was there for us, and he's there for us now, today. He's always showing love. Jesus was honest. He was always an open book with his disciples, letting them know, hey, I'm not going to be here, or hey, you're messing up. He was honest. And Jesus was always consistent. Jesus has never changed. He's the same he was back then that he is today. So I encourage you this morning to put these ingredients into your relationships. Show love to those that you're close with. Be honest with them. Encourage honesty on their side. Own up if there's things that you've been letting go and that you're not right on, and you need forgiveness, and if they love you, they will forgive. And be consistent. Be there. He's someone that can be relied on. And as believers, our goal is every day to become a little more like Jesus. So if you need help, look to the Bible, look to Jesus, ask him, help me, God, help me in my relationships, help me to repair the wounds that need to be fixed, help me to be better, help me to be everything that you were to the best of my ability. And I encourage you, and I believe that your relationships will get to the place where God has called them to be, God has designed them to be. I want to pray for you before we end today, and just thank you for being here today. Lord,